How to better respond to what we cannot change. In life, there is an inescapable truth that we will all face at some point. There are things we cannot change. Situations, people, events, all appear before us as immovable stones on our path. But while we have no control over what happens to us, we have complete dominion over how we choose to respond. And it is precisely at this point that radical acceptance becomes a powerful ally. Radical acceptance is a powerful practice that can transform the way we live and face the challenges of daily life. Often, we confuse acceptance with resignation, believing that accepting something means giving up, surrendering to circumstances without a fight. But this interpretation is far from the truth. To accept, in its deepest sense, is an act of courage and clarity. It is to recognize reality as it is, without the illusions or distortions we create to protect ourselves from discomfort. When Epictetus said that it is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them, he was teaching us that suffering does not come directly from circumstances, but from our interpretation of them. Pain often arises from our resistance to reality, from our insistence on wanting things to be different from what they are. Imagine a flowing river. Trying to resist the flow of water by swimming against the current will only result in exhaustion and frustration. In the same way, resisting reality, wishing things were different, drains us emotionally and prevents us from moving forward. On the other hand, when we accept the river's current and allow it to guide us, we can navigate more easily and save energy for the moments when we can really influence the course of events. At the heart of Stoic philosophy, we find the understanding that the universe operates according to a natural order, a sequence of events that is beyond our control. The Stoics, like Epictetus and Seneca, taught us that true wisdom lies in distinguishing what we can change from what we cannot. And by accepting what is beyond our reach, we find peace. Epictetus is a clear example of this practice. Despite his condition as a slave, he found inner freedom by fully accepting the external circumstances he could not change. Instead of focusing on the injustice of his situation, he turned his attention to what he could control: his thoughts, his reactions, his conduct. This radical acceptance did not make him passive but resilient and unshakable. Incorporating radical acceptance into our daily lives requires practice and patience. It begins with small steps, recognizing when we are resisting reality and instead choosing to accept things as they are. This can mean accepting an unfair criticism at work, the unexpected behavior of a loved one, or even our own imperfections. This acceptance is not resignation because it does not imply passivity. On the contrary, by accepting what we cannot change, we release an immense amount of mental and emotional energy that can be redirected to areas where we can really make a difference: our actions, our choices, our way of thinking. Radical acceptance opens the doors to emotional resilience. When we stop fighting the tide and start flowing with it, we become stronger, more adaptable, and less susceptible to despair. We are no longer victims of circumstances, but masters of our reactions to them. When we face a loss, the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, or even the death of a loved one, radical acceptance helps us process grief without getting stuck in a cycle of denial or resistance. This does not mean that the pain disappears, but that we find the strength to continue, to learn, and eventually to grow from the experience. Ultimately, radical acceptance invites us to live with more lightness and clarity. It challenges us to abandon unrealistic expectations, useless resistances, and unnecessary battles. By doing so, we find an inner freedom that empowers us to face life with serenity and purpose, knowing that while we cannot control what happens around us, we always have the power to choose how we will respond. And this choice, above all, is what defines true resilience. Just as a boat that accepts the currents of the river can navigate smoothly, our life also becomes calmer when we learn to accept what we cannot change. But what about those situations where, even though we accept reality, we still feel the pressure of chaos around us? In these moments, it is essential that our minds remain clear and our hearts serene so that we can act with wisdom and balance. To respond appropriately to what life presents us, it is essential to cultivate mental clarity and emotional serenity. Keeping the mind clear is not just a choice, but a habit that needs to be practiced daily. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and Stoic philosopher, taught us that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. This reminds us of the power our thoughts have over our inner state. The human mind is like a garden. If we leave it at the mercy of weeds, our negative thoughts, fears, and anxieties, it will quickly become an infertile and chaotic terrain. Therefore, it is crucial that we learn to observe our thoughts, questioning those that do not serve our well-being and replacing them with thoughts that strengthen us. Similarly, the heart needs serenity so that we can face life's storms with calm. Imagine a tree during a storm. Its leaves and branches may be shaken by the wind, but its roots remain firm, anchored in the ground. Serenity is that root that keeps us grounded even when the world around us is in turmoil. To cultivate this serenity, it is important to develop practices that help us maintain internal control, such as meditation, conscious breathing, and philosophical reflection. When we practice these techniques, we become more capable of facing difficulties with a calm and resilient posture without being dominated by destructive emotions. In the end, a clear mind and a serene heart are not just desirable, but necessary for living fully. When we can maintain this balance, we become capable of navigating the most challenging situations in life with wisdom, responding to external chaos with an inner peace that nothing can shake. This is the true strength of a resilient spirit, the ability to remain calm and focused even when the world around us seems to be in a storm. As we cultivate a clear mind and a serene heart, we create the necessary foundation to face life's uncertainties with balance and wisdom. But even with this foundation, we still face a great challenge, our tendency to cling to results. This is where the practice of detachment comes in, not as a form of indifference, but as a way to free ourselves from the anxiety that accompanies the incessant pursuit of success. We live in a society that values above all results. From an early age, we are taught to measure our worth by the achievements we reach, by the goals we meet. However, the truth is that results often escape our control. We can plan, strive, and do everything right, but the final outcome can still be influenced by factors beyond our reach. Epictetus, the wise Stoic, offers us a powerful solution to this issue. Focus on the process, not the outcome. This simple yet profound advice reminds us that our true power lies in our actions and decisions, not in the results they may generate. When we detach ourselves from the final outcome, we free our minds from the constant pressure to achieve something specific and start to value what really matters, the process. Detachment from the outcome is a crucial habit for our peace of mind. When we let go of the need to control the outcome, we allow the fear of failure and disappointment to lose their grip on us. This detachment is not an excuse for mediocrity or lack of effort. On the contrary, it is an invitation to act with more courage and clarity, knowing that our worth is not tied to the final result, but to the dedication and integrity we put into every step of the way. By embracing the process and letting go of the obsession with the outcome, we open up space for a lighter life, less suffocated by anxiety and richer in learning. The journey becomes more meaningful because we are no longer limited by the expectation of what should happen. We are free to explore, learn, and grow without the shackles of perfection or success at any cost. Ultimately, detachment from the outcome teaches us to live with more authenticity, focusing on what we can really control: our choices, our actions, and the attitude with which we face each challenge. It is this approach that allows us to act with confidence, knowing that regardless of what the future holds, we are already on the right path simply by doing our best. As we detach from the outcomes, we free our minds from anxiety and allow ourselves to focus on what really matters: the process. But even when following this path, there is a tendency that can undermine our inner peace and sabotage our efforts: quick and impulsive judgment. This is where the art of suspending judgment becomes an essential practice. In life, we are quick to judge, not only others but also ourselves. This judgment, which often occurs automatically, has the power to trap us in expectations and interpretations that can cause us suffering. When we label something as good or bad without careful reflection, we bind ourselves to a narrative that may later prove harmful. Seneca, the wise Stoic philosopher, advises us to suspend our judgment to find peace. This practice may seem simple, but it requires a great conscious effort. Suspending judgment is more than just hesitating to form an opinion. It is allowing things to unfold in their own time, without the need to place labels or assign premature meanings. Imagine, for example, a situation where you receive criticism at work. If your first impulse is to judge this criticism as unfair or threatening, you immediately put yourself in a defensive state, which can lead to disproportionate emotional reactions. But if instead you practice the art of suspending judgment, you can observe the situation more clearly, seeking to understand the context and intention behind the criticism. This not only helps to maintain calm, but also allows for a more thoughtful and constructive response. Furthermore, suspending judgment gives us the freedom to be more compassionate, both with others and with ourselves. By avoiding the temptation to judge quickly, we create space for empathy, understanding that every person, including ourselves, is on a unique and complex journey. This practice helps us avoid the pitfalls of severe criticism and self-sabotage, cultivating an attitude of acceptance and understanding. The habit of suspending judgment does not mean ignoring the need to evaluate situations, but rather delaying this evaluation until we have enough information to make a balanced decision. This protects us from impulsive reactions and allows us to deal with circumstances more effectively. Ultimately, by practicing the art of suspending judgment, we free ourselves from the chains of expectations and labels, allowing life to flow more naturally. And it is in this fluidity that we find true peace, the freedom to respond to the world not with prejudices and fears, but with wisdom, compassion, and an open heart for the possibilities that each moment can bring. As we learn to suspend judgment, we take an important step toward a more serene and balanced life. However, this practice becomes even more powerful when combined with self-mastery, the ability to control oneself, which is undoubtedly one of the most difficult and noble virtues to achieve. True strength does not lie in the ability to dominate others, but in mastering oneself. Self-mastery is the foundation upon which we build a life of discipline, balance, and emotional control. Marcus Aurelius, in his Stoic wisdom, reminded us, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words encapsulate a profound truth. True strength comes from within. In today's world, where we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli and social pressures, maintaining control over our emotions and reactions is a constant challenge. However, it is precisely this ability that distinguishes the strong from the weak. Self-mastery is not something that is acquired overnight. It is a habit that develops with discipline, patience, and continuous practice. Mastering oneself means, first and foremost, being able to recognize one's own emotions without being dominated by them. When we face a challenging situation, it is easy to fall into the temptation of reacting impulsively, whether with anger, fear, or anxiety. However, true self-mastery is manifested when, instead of reacting immediately, we choose to pause, reflect, and respond wisely. This pause, though brief, is what allows us to transform an automatic reaction into a conscious action. Discipline is the foundation of self-mastery. Without it, our intentions can easily be lost in the face of temptations and distractions of daily life. Being disciplined is cultivating habits that reinforce our ability to remain firm in our convictions, even when the world around us is in chaos. It is having the courage to follow the right path, even when it is difficult, and to stay focused on our goals, even when the rewards seem distant. Self-mastery also involves the ability to deal with adversities without allowing them to destabilize us. When we understand that we have no control over external events, but over how we choose to react to them, we become truly strong. This inner strength allows us to face life's challenges with serenity and determination, without being swept away by the tides of emotions or circumstances. In summary, self-mastery is the virtue that allows us to live with integrity, remaining faithful to our values and principles, regardless of the trials we face. It is a silent but immensely powerful force that enables us to be not only survivors, but masters of our own lives. By becoming masters of our emotions and disciplined in our reactions, we cultivate a strength that sustains us in life's storms, guiding us with wisdom and clarity toward what truly matters. As we strengthen self-mastery and become masters of our emotions and reactions, we find an inner strength that guides us with wisdom. But for this strength to be truly effective, we must also understand a fundamental truth of life: impermanence. Recognizing that everything is transient helps us navigate inevitable changes with more serenity and acceptance. Everything that exists will cease to exist at some point. This is the inexorable law of life. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, expressed this truth with the maxim panta re, which means everything flows. Impermanence is the nature of all things. Nothing remains the same forever. And while this idea may at first seem frightening or unsettling, it actually carries profound and liberating wisdom. Cultivating the habit of recognizing impermanence is essential for our peace of mind and resilience. When we accept that everything is in constant change, we become less attached to things, to people, and even to our own ideas. Attachment is born from the illusion of permanence, that we can hold on forever to what we have or control what will happen. However, by embracing impermanence, we free ourselves from this illusion and with it from the anxiety and fear that attachment generates. Recognizing impermanence does not mean living detached and indifferent, but rather living with a deeper understanding of life's transience. This prepares us to deal with inevitable changes, whether they are big or small. When we know that nothing is permanent, we can accept losses with more serenity, celebrate moments of joy without fear of the future, and be prepared for the transformations that life brings. This understanding makes us more resilient. By internalizing impermanence as a constant truth, we stop fighting against the natural flow of life and instead learn to flow with it. This empowers us to face difficulties and changes with an open mind and a heart ready to accept whatever comes. Moreover, impermanence teaches us to value the present. When we recognize that each moment is unique and ephemeral, we become more aware of the importance of living fully here and now. Each experience, each encounter, each feeling is precious because we know it is transient. This awareness encourages us to make the most of what we have, without getting lost in worries about the future or regrets about the past. Ultimately, recognizing impermanence invites us to live with more lightness and wisdom. It is a reminder that life is a constant flow, and that by embracing this flow, we become more adaptable, more prepared to deal with inevitable changes, and more capable of finding peace amid uncertainty. By accepting transience as an inherent part of existence, we move closer to a richer, fuller, and more meaningful life, where each moment is lived in its entirety without fear of what is to come. By recognizing the impermanence of life, we learn to navigate inevitable changes with more acceptance and lightness. However, even with this understanding, we will still face obstacles along the way. What determines our ability to overcome these challenges is not only our resilience, but the way we choose to face them. And here arises a transformative practice, the ability to turn obstacles into opportunities. When faced with an obstacle, we have two choices. We can see it as an insurmountable problem or as a chance to grow. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, offers us a powerful perspective. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. With these words, he teaches us that the challenges that arise on our path are not barriers, but stepping stones to progress. Turning obstacles into opportunities is more than a change in perspective. It is a habit that, once cultivated, redefines how we face life's difficulties. When we encounter a problem, our initial reaction may be frustration or discouragement. But by practicing the art of seeing challenges as opportunities for growth, we begin to realize that each obstacle contains within it the potential to make us stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Imagine a stone in the middle of the road. For some, this stone may be an insurmountable block, a reason to give up. For others, it may be an opportunity to learn something new, whether by discovering a way around it, climbing it, or even using it as a tool to reach a greater goal. This proactive mindset is what transforms us from victims of circumstances into protagonists of our own lives. This habit of redefining challenges not only strengthens us, but also frees us from the role of victims. When we see obstacles as opportunities, we cease to be passive in the face of difficulties and become active agents of our own journey. Instead of asking ourselves, "Why is this happening to me?" we start to question, "How can I grow from this?" This change in mindset is powerful and empowers us to face any situation with a constructive and positive attitude. Moreover, turning obstacles into opportunities teaches us to be more creative and innovative. When we refuse to be discouraged by difficulties, we are forced to find new solutions, to think outside the box, and to develop skills that might otherwise remain dormant. This approach not only helps us overcome immediate challenges, but also better prepares us to deal with future adversities more effectively. In essence, the practice of turning obstacles into opportunities is an invitation to live with a growth mindset. It is a call to action that encourages us to see every challenge as a chance for personal improvement. When we adopt this attitude, we realize that obstacles, instead of stopping us, propel us forward. They become the path that leads us to new achievements and helps us become the best version of ourselves. By making this conscious choice to redefine challenges, we not only strengthen ourselves, but also move closer to a fuller and more meaningful life. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity for learning, every difficulty a chance for growth, and every step of the way an essential part of our journey of transformation and evolution. As we learn to turn obstacles into opportunities, we develop the ability to face challenges with a growth mindset and resilience. But there is an additional habit that can further elevate our inner strength and our ability to deal with adversities: the practice of gratitude, especially in the most difficult moments. It may seem contradictory at first, but gratitude in adversity is one of the most transformative habits we can cultivate. In times of suffering or difficulty, it is natural for our attention to turn to what is lacking, to the pain, or to the problem itself. However, Seneca, the wise Stoic, reminds us that sometimes even to live is an act of courage. These words invite us to recognize that even in the darkest moments, there is always something for which we can be grateful. Practicing gratitude during adversity does not mean denying or ignoring pain, but rather consciously choosing to find light amid darkness. When we focus on something positive, even if small, we strengthen our spirit and empower ourselves to face difficulties with more lightness. Gratitude shifts our focus. Instead of fixating on what is going wrong, we start to appreciate what we still have, what is working, what supports us. Imagine going through a difficult time, such as losing a job or the end of a relationship. It is easy in these moments to feel overwhelmed by negativity and a sense of failure. However, if we can find something to be grateful for, whether it is the support of a friend, a new opportunity that arises, or even the lesson the experience offers us, we begin to change the way we experience this adversity. Gratitude gives us perspective, allowing us to see that even amid chaos, there are positive aspects that can strengthen us. Moreover, practicing gratitude in adversity creates a positive cycle. The more we can be grateful, the more we notice the small blessings in our lives and the more emotional fortitude we develop. This habit helps us focus on what is good, on what brings us joy and comfort, even if in small doses. Over time, this practice not only eases the burden of difficulties, but also better prepares us to face future adversities with a more positive and resilient attitude. Gratitude also connects us with something greater than ourselves. It reminds us that even when things do not go as planned, we are still part of a larger flow of life where everything has a purpose, even if we cannot yet see it clearly. This recognition gives us hope and helps us maintain faith even in the most challenging moments. In summary, practicing gratitude in adversity is a powerful choice that transforms the way we navigate difficulties. It not only allows us to find strength amid pain, but also illuminates our path, helping us see that even in the darkest hours, there is always something for which we can be grateful. This practice elevates, sustains, and guides us, allowing us to go through life's storms with a lighter spirit and a more open heart. As we learn to practice gratitude even in adversity, we find a source of strength and hope that helps us face life's challenges with a renewed spirit. However, in an increasingly noisy and chaotic world, it is essential to develop another fundamental practice for our well-being: the cultivation of inner silence. This silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a profound quality of stillness that connects us with our true essence and gives us clarity to navigate life. We live in an era of constant stimulation, where external noise, whether from social media, daily demands, or others' expectations, can easily overshadow our inner voice. Amid this chaos, silence becomes a rare and precious treasure. Marcus Aurelius, the wise Stoic emperor, advised, "Retire into yourself, especially when you need relaxation." This advice is more relevant than ever, as finding moments of inner silence is essential for maintaining our mental and emotional health. Inner silence is more than simply being in a quiet environment. It is the ability to calm the mind and thoughts, to push away distractions, and to reconnect with our deepest essence. It is in this state of stillness that we can hear our true voice, a voice that is often drowned out by the noise of the outside world and the incessant demands of our mind. This practice allows us to access a source of inner wisdom that guides us with clarity and purpose. Cultivating inner silence requires practice and intention. It is not something that happens automatically, especially in a world that seems to value constant agitation. To develop this habit, we need to create space in our lives for moments of reflection, meditation, and simple stillness. It can be as simple as starting the day with a few minutes of silence, where the mind is directed to observe without judgment, to simply be present. During these moments, it is important to focus on breathing, allowing it to anchor us in the present. As we breathe deeply and consciously, we begin to calm scattered thoughts and enter a state of greater tranquility. This regular practice helps to strengthen the habit of inner silence, making it a natural part of our daily routine. Inner silence provides us with clarity, allowing us to see situations with a broader and more detached perspective. When we retreat within ourselves, we can process life's events without the pressure of immediate emotions or external influences. This gives us a solid foundation to respond to situations more thoughtfully and less reactively, which is crucial for maintaining our inner peace, especially in the face of challenges we cannot change. Moreover, inner silence connects us with our own wisdom. Instead of seeking answers or validation outside of ourselves, we learn to trust our intuition and discernment. This self-knowledge strengthens us as we become more self-sufficient and less dependent on others' opinions and judgments. When we cultivate inner silence, we are, in fact, cultivating our confidence in ourselves and our ability to face life with integrity and authenticity. Another dimension of inner silence is the peace it brings. In the midst of a busy life, finding a space of internal tranquility is like finding a safe haven where we can rest and replenish our energies. This peace is not just a temporary feeling, but a stable foundation that sustains us in moments of turbulence. When we learn to access this silence, it becomes a constant source of strength and serenity, regardless of external circumstances. Ultimately, cultivating inner silence is a practice that offers countless benefits. It provides us with mental clarity, emotional peace, and a deeper connection with our true essence. In a world that values noise and speed, inner silence is a form of resistance, the resistance to being swept away by the currents of external agitation and the firmness to remain anchored in our center. When we cultivate this practice, we are not only taking care of our well-being, but also building a solid foundation to live more fully and meaningfully. We are not alone on this journey. We all face life's uncertainties and challenges, and yet it is in this arid terrain that we find our greatest potential for growth. By adopting these habits, we strengthen not only ourselves, but also the community around us. Let us together cultivate resilience, self-control, and wisdom to respond to what we cannot change. May our actions be guided by reason, our hearts by love, and our minds by serenity. May the next challenge be an opportunity to demonstrate how much we have grown, not just as individuals, but as a community united by the desire to live with fortitude and purpose.